Hi, it's Diane Sear with the Biddeford Cultural and Heritage Center. We're here today with Derek Volk of Volk Packaging, and he's going to tell us about the Heroes Wall. Derek, hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
I was wondering if you could start by just telling us a little bit about yourself and your ties with the community.
Sure. I'm from Portland, grew up in Portland. We built Volk Packaging in 1967. My grandfather and father started the company, so I've had a connection with Biddeford my whole life from just having a business, a family business here in Biddeford. I live in Saco now.
And where does the military, do you have military connections in your family?
Not really, actually. My father was in the reserve, but other than that, we don't have anybody in my family. I have a lot of my wife's side of the family, but none on my side of the family that served, except I do have an uncle who was in Vietnam. My mother's brother was in Vietnam. But I've always been a huge admirer of the military. I know that every day I come to work and make boxes. I couldn't do it without somebody out doing something that I'm not doing, protecting our country from evils all over the world. So I'm hugely grateful to our military.
Now you also have another program that you just did, the Rackets for Jackets. Can you
Yeah.
tell us a little about that?
Yeah, I didn't actually do that. That was an interesting thing, the way the Rackets for Jackets work. A young man, well, I call him young man, Jake McCullum, who's on the wall right behind us here. He was out here actually stringing a tennis racket, and I came out to look for something on the wall that somebody had asked me about. And we got to talking, and he was telling me about his Rackets for Jackets event that he was doing on Halloween, where if you brought a jacket for someone in the community that needed one, he would give you a tennis racket and a can of balls, tennis balls.
Great.
So we got to talking, and I decided I wanted to help him support that and promote it. And it was a great event. He had a good turnout, and I think he still has some rackets left. So if you're interested, give me a call. I can hook you up with Jake, and you can get yourself a tennis racket by turning in a jacket. So his organization is called Breathe and Follow Through, and Rackets for Jackets is just part of it.
Wow, that's wonderful. You said he's a fairly young man.
Yeah, I think he's in his 30s.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's young.
gets younger every day.
So let's talk about the Volk Packaging Heroes Wall. How did the idea of the wall come about?
Just kind of happened. I was actually traveling across the state with my wife. We were headed from our camp in Lee, Maine, over to the Forks to get down the Kennebec River, and we drove through a small town called Abbott, which is a small town in rural Maine, and they had a beautiful war memorial to all the people from Abbott that had ever served. We stopped, we took some pictures, looked at it, got back in the car, and I said, no disrespect to Abbott, I'm sure it's a wonderful community, but there's like 700 people there, and they built this beautiful war tribute. Why don't we have one of these in every town? Why don't we have one in Portland and Biddeford and Scarborough and everywhere? So as we got talking, I decided I was going to do something, and this is what it ended up being. It's a lot bigger than I ever expected when I came up with the idea.
Was there a lot of community support when you
Yeah.
started this?
Yeah, the community's been great. We've got some incredible support. We built this wall. It's got a foundation and rebar, and I mean it's like 8 inches. This wall is not going anywhere for a long time. So we get the wall all done, and I went over to pay Landry French, the company in Scarborough that built the wall, and I said, "So what do I owe you?" And he said, "Nothing." And I said, "Come on, you gotta let me pay you. You've had people here like 2 weeks." He said, "No, I'm not taking any money for this." And so throughout that, and then in addition to that, we've got a number of companies that have stepped up and donated corporate tiles. So we have corporate tiles, which are up along the top. You can sponsor an entire section, and that's $2,500. Or you can just do one tile for a corporate sponsorship, and that's $500. And we've had a great response from a lot of companies. We're just hoping to get more, to be honest with you. I thought we sent out a letter at one point to like every business in Biddeford, Saco, and we got some sponsorships. I was expecting more, but we're happy with whatever we got. We're appreciative of everything that we've got here. One of the really important things, and the reason why we have corporate sponsorships, is because because we don't want to ever deny anybody a tile. So if the tiles are $150, some of the money goes toward the tile itself, and then 100% of the rest of the money goes to the local VFW. So we don't keep any money. This is not anything that there's any kind of fees or anything kept by me or Volk Packaging or anybody. 100% of the money goes to the VFW. We've given them $35,000 now. We still have a long way to go. We have a lot of tiles that we still can put up. But we wanted to make sure that anybody that wanted a tile could get one, whether they could afford the $150 or not. So you can also sponsor, whether you're a company or just a person. We've had a lot of people that have said, look, I don't need a tile, but here's a couple $100 for someone else. So when people do that, we put at the bottom of the tile, this tile was generously donated by, whatever company. This was Brady's Screen Print right here in Biddeford. So Brady's Screen Print gets their name on the tile, veteran gets a tile, VFW gets the money, everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
It's been really nice. And meeting so many veterans has been just an incredible experience.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. If you must have people coming from a lot of other places to see the wall too.
Yeah, it was funny. We actually got on Geocache, which is like this online game that people play where they go and they have to answer a couple questions to prove that they were there, and then they get points. I'd never even heard of it. I came out and I saw some people out here, and I came over and said hello and said, how'd you find out about this? They said it's on Geocache. And we've had a lot of people show up from that, which is kind of neat. You have to answer a couple questions, find the tiles on the wall.
Oh, nice.
But we put some signs up on Route 1 and 111, and word of mouth is starting to get out. We love seeing people here. We love seeing families here, kids, people bringing their kids, grandparents bringing their grandkids. It's been a really neat experience.
That's wonderful. And I was going to ask about the veterans groups. Sounds like you donate to them, but do they support you with the wall in any way? Is there anything special that they do? Or?
Yeah, we've connected with some veterans groups. Our company supports a lot of veterans organizations. This wall, I wanted all the money to stay right here in the community. I was kind of hoping people were going to copy it. Nobody's done that I know of yet, but I keep waiting for someone to call me and say, hey, we want to do the same thing. Can you tell us how you went about it? Because like I said, I'd love to see one of these in every community.
So if someone was interested, we could refer them to you?
Absolutely. I didn't come up with this idea. They actually have one at DeMillo's in Portland that was originally created by the Easter Seals. So shout out to the Easter Seals for letting me copy their idea. I worked with the same company called Get Etched that makes the tiles. And a shout out also to Compose the Tile. Compose the Tile has put all these tiles up at no expense. So they've been incredible. We have over 400 tiles up on the wall. So it's been a team effort for sure.
Now, how often do you update? Is it twice a year that you update the wall?
Usually it's 3 or 4 times a year. Unfortunately, you can't put the tiles up if it's cold. So it has to be at least 55 degrees for 24 hours. And sadly, I think those days are gone for quite a while. So we'll build up tiles over the winter and the early spring, and then probably April, early May, we'll get a little break in the weather, and we'll be able to put up all the tiles that we got over the winter.
And any special stories or events you recall in regards to the Heroes Wall that you'd like to share with us today?
Oh goodness, there's so many. So many stories. We have one family that has 12 people on the wall, 12 family members on the wall. That's a pretty amazing story. We have people on here that are 3 generations, so there's a grandfather, a father, and a son, all tiles right next to each other. I had one older woman come in, and she said, I don't want a picture of my husband on the wall. He flew a glider into Normandy on D-Day, and he was so proud of that. I'd love to put World War II glider on his tile, but I don't know where I'd ever find a picture of one. And I said, well, there's this cool thing called Google, and we could maybe see what they have. And so we went to my office and we Googled it, and she was amazed, and we have a tile now up with a World War II glider. which is really neat.
We'll have to get a picture of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of really great stories of people that I've met through this, as well as the incredible people over at the VFW in Old Orchard Beach.
And anything that any special message that you would like to share with our veterans today?
Just thank you. I mean, the only people thank me for this, and it's the opposite. This wall is to thank them. You don't have to be a war veteran to be on the wall. You don't have to be deceased. There's probably half the walls living and half the walls deceased. So it's just something, if you signed on the dotted line that said that you would give up your life for me so I can come here every day and make boxes and spend time with my kids, then to me you're a hero. And so that's why we built the wall, and I'd love to see it filled up come spring so that we have to do another one.
So you would consider that?
Yeah, we've already talked about trying to figure out the logistics of putting a second wall in. I wouldn't want it there because I wouldn't want it to block what we've already done. So maybe perpendicular or something, but we'll figure something out.
Well, we're starting with the Wreaths Across America is coming to Biddeford this year.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot more awareness, and hopefully, that you will get this wall filled up.
Yeah, they're having their kickoff here on December 19th.
Yes. Yeah.
We're very excited about it. Right here, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
We'll have to come and take pictures.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
And appreciate all the veterans out there who are watching.